Hey everyone, I'm Noamori Gaming, welcome back to my channel and welcome to Monster Legends. Welcome to a monster analysis on the newest cosmic nature monster, Targon. Alright, so I'm not going to talk about the lore, it's very short, but I wanted to go right into the monster because I think there's a lot to talk about this monster, particularly because he's not that interesting, but at the same time, he's very interesting because of his trait, so that's what I want to focus on. So let's see, I will talk over this. Targon is a nature tank with damage mirrors and healing skills, such as double healing, double life, and life regen. He has an evolving trait. At rank 0, he's tough. At rank 1, he protects his positive effects. That is the important thing with this monster right here. The positive effects protection at rank 1, right? We see that with Neobuki. You cannot remove Neobuki's positive effects, and you have that as a permanent trait, right? That's how we started doing the combo with evasion and positive effects protection. If the monster has evasion at the start of the battle, you literally cannot touch the monster until Pierce was introduced. And then anyways, at rank 3, you get life regen at the start of every battle. And actually, that's different from what it says right here. Right here it says, status caster self-damage mirror 50%. So we're going to see if this is wrong or if the monster sheet is wrong. I think the monster sheet is probably going to be correct, and it's not life regen, regardless of which it is. Again, at rank 3, you're not going to be able to remove whatever it is, the life regen or the damage mirror, but I'm going to operate under the assumption that it is a damage mirror. So with that being said, let's talk stats. This monster has an 80k life, 8,528. That is tied with that of Renata. It is the second highest in the game, only second to Solar Flare. The power is 7568. That is right around the middle for monsters. There's quite a few monsters that have that power stat, and the speed stat is 5753. It's definitely, it's tied with that of Iguanazar towards the bottom of the list. It's not the slowest. There's monsters that have a 5720 speed, other monsters that have a 5632 speed. So the most important thing you need to know about this monster is that life stat of 80,528. And then we went over the trait already, right? The tough, 35% of the chance this monster doesn't get hit with negative effects, protect positive effects, and then that rank 3 self-damage mirror 50%. So assuming it is that, this monster essentially deals damage with the damage mirror, right? If an enemy monster attacks and deals 100k damage, you reflect 50k damage against the enemy monster. Alright, let's keep that in mind and let's continue. So Relics, this monster has an armor and a shield, which just increases survivability. Books is Dragon, Undead, and Villains. Alright. Basic attacks, 0 cooldown, 40 damage, deals moderate nature damage to one enemy on a 22 stamina cost. Reckless Shake deals low nature damage to all enemies, 20 damage, 0 cooldown. Alright, let's move on. We have Sleepy Wind, heals by 50%, applies a 25% damage mirror to itself. 25%, it has been a while since we've seen that. That is not impressive whatsoever. I imagine they did it rather low because you have that positive effect protection. So basically, this monster's positive effects cannot be removed. It doesn't matter. And this is actually pretty important because if we look at the monsters that were released, every single monster nowadays removes positive effects, right? If you look especially at the team race monsters, we had Ignis first, we have Tabora, we have the new the Halloween monster Vampiria. She can literally remove positive effects, get an extra turn, and then has another AoE positive effect removal. So there's even monsters that can remove positive effects twice. So the fact that you protect all of your positive effects, that is really nice. So you will keep that damage mirror. The only way for the enemy to bypass this is to run a Tabora that would trade disable. But keep in mind, Tabora removes positive effects first, then trade disable. So in this case, if you did have positive effects, you wouldn't lose them because the trade disable comes next. So that's something to keep in mind with this monster. So even against the Tabora, you would keep your positive effects. Alright, moving on. Where was I? Heals itself, yeah, I talked about that one. Deals moderate nature damage, applies life regen to itself on a 1-turn cooldown. So you could always technically have life regen, so that's recovering in life every single turn on a 1-turn cooldown. Yeah, you could have this for the whole game, assuming you did not get hit with CDA. Calming Aura heals by 30% and applies the 50% damage mirror. That is how you reinstate your damage mirror. I'm assuming it's going to last for 2 turns. Eternal Whisper doubles your max life and applies taunt. So this is where things get interesting. This monster can actually taunt, and thanks to the positive effect, you keep your taunts, so you essentially would protect your dodge area legendary monsters if you have them, and obviously, if you're not using legendary monsters, you have cosmics, well then you're just protecting them from getting hit with single target attacks. So that's pretty good, because at rank 3, not only will you have the self-damage mirror 50%, you're going to have the taunt, and your maximum life is going to be doubled, and all of that is protected. It cannot be removed with the positive effect removal. Once again, the enemy is going to have to trade disable. Now, taunt is not the end-all be-all, obviously, but it does help from your monsters getting attacked. Let's continue. We have Impaling Shell, applies a 50% damage mirror and life regen to itself. So this is once again a way to keep up the damage mirror, and this time you recover your life because you get life regen. And then the last skill we have is Ancient Assault, which deals massive nature damage to an enemy, applies double healing to itself, and removes 25% of total life. The damage output on this skill is strong 70 damage, and you get double healing, which is nice because it works with your life regen, but you do remove 25% of your total life the initial time you use the skill. Now, the double healing, if you have a life regen, that definitely makes up for it, so it's not too big of a deal. You also deal massive 70 nature damage to the enemy. So looking through this monster, overall, he really doesn't have that many good attacking skills, so he would not be an attacker. Now, because this monster does have that positive effect protection, that's what I wanted to focus on in this video, and I want to talk about how to actually make this monster usable. Because if we're being honest, this monster is not good whatsoever. He's definitely not going to be meta. However, he is potentially usable, and the reason I say that is because if you bought the Golden Legends Pass, if you have someone like Noah, I think this monster could really excel. Right, Noah has 2 skills that grant him an extra turn, and one of them applies immune to control, the other one applies immune to torture. So if this monster is being ran with a monster like Noah, you would literally start the game off, assuming you're rank 1, heck, let's just put you to rank 3, you would have immunity to control, immunity to torture, and you'd have a self-damage mirror 50%, and none of that would be removed from the enemy monster. I think that's probably the coolest mechanic you can do with this monster, and obviously there's so many other things, right? If you have a Chucklemuckle, if you have any monster, who's a monster that just got the Night monster that ended up being a support monster? I think he can triple damage buff, double damage buff. He can make it so you're protected unless you only get damage from the light attack, from the light element. So there's a lot of interesting synergies you can do with the positive effect protection. Now again, the biggest issue is this monster really can't do much, right? Assuming you do give him triple damage or double damage, that 70 damage skill is nice, but realistically you would need a strength, 1 or 2 strength runes to make it usable, even with such a high buff. So you're probably not going to invest in that. If you do the Chucklemuckle combo, yeah, again, it's cool that you can do a pyrophobic shield, but then you lose out on the damage mirror, so that doesn't really help you out, right? Other than just like helping, then just making it so the enemy monster is forced to attack you and they can't do much. But going back to Noah, that really is the best combo because you'd essentially have yourself a monster that can be hit with torture, can be controlled, and then you apply that taunt and you're protecting your allies from single target attacks. But again, that's pretty much it, right? You're still susceptible to AoEs, so the enemy can still hit you with an AoE, your allies can still get denied. This monster, unfortunately, doesn't have any support skills. There's no team cleanse, there's no... Heck, there's not even a self-cleanse, so that sucks. But I think definitely with Noah, he's fun and interesting. If you wanted to, I guess, if you can put this monster, you give him, rank this monster, or level up this monster to level 4, and put Elvira with evasion to start the game off. You have positive effect protection, and you're basically good to go. You put this monster on defense, and unless the enemy has pierced, they are going to have to just recharge until they can finally attack you. So it's just a way to stall. Some players do that with Neobuki and Elvira still, so heck, if you want, you can do that. But yeah, I think with Noah, he's going to be a fun monster. Definitely not meta, definitely not a monster I'm going to see a lot. But with Noah, I think you can pull off some interesting combos where, again, you just set that immune to torture, that immune to control, and then he's slow anyway, so you just give him like team speed and a life. Have him apply the taunt skill, if anything. Draw single attacks to him, even AoEs, he's just going to be reflecting 50%, 50%, 50%. The enemy's going to have no way of cleansing it, so then you just put some support, and that's essentially it. But, I mean, yeah, he's definitely not going to be used, unfortunately. I wish this monster would have had Megatons. If he would have had Megatons, I would have liked it, because then you could have synergized a lot more. Gosh, even like a permanent taunt would have been good, but skill set wise, it doesn't do much, unfortunately. 100% damage mirror, that would have been worth talking about, but a 50%, I don't know. It's going to be interesting to use this monster. Again, I'm just going to rely on the damage mirror, and then I definitely want to partner him up with Noah to see what he can pull off. But he's definitely not a monster that is going to be used that much. But I want to start the conversation of how could we use this monster if you were to use him. For players that do get this monster, I think in the lower leagues, you could potentially have some fun with him. But I definitely don't see him being very meta, unfortunately. But with that being said, I wanted to give that thought. The ultimate deals heavy nature, applies Mega Stun, heals by 100%. That's pretty cool. The Mega Stun, especially if it lands on all enemy monsters, they're immobilized for 2 turns. But yeah, guys, I'm curious to hear what you guys think about this monster. Any thoughts? Do you guys have any combos you can think of? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you very much, and remember to subscribe.